So defined benefit pensions, otherwise known as final salary pension schemes, are sometimes quoted by some as being a gold-plated pension scheme. The types of pension scheme that people entering the workforce now would dream of. But are they always as good as they say they are? Well, in this video today, I'm going to share a couple of ways that you might get caught out when you come to take an income from your defined benefit pension scheme. A sort of dark arts, if you will, with the defined benefit pensions. My name's Carl Roberts. I'm a chartered financial planner at RTS Financial Planning. So the first little sneaky going on that I want to make you aware of when it comes to defined benefit pensions is something called the Pension Increase Exchange, or PI for short. Now usually when you approach the point you're going to retire, if you've got a defined benefit pension scheme, you'll be presented with a list of options for how you would like your income to be paid out. Now usually the standard options are, number one, you go for a higher level of annual income and a lower tax-free lump sum, or you flip it round and request a higher tax-free lump sum and a lower level of income. Now some schemes also apply another option, which is the pension increase exchange. And what a pension increase exchange is whereby part of your annual income will not rise with inflation. So usually in the standard options, your annual income that you choose will have some sort of inflation increase over time. But with the pension increase option, you'll probably find that your income initially is higher, but only part of the pension will increase over time. So let's look at an example. So in the example on screen here, you can see the standard option, and this is a real life case that we've dealt with recently. So you can see the standard option here was for a standard level of income that increases over time with inflation and a tax-free lump sum. The pension increase exchange option shows an initial higher level of income offered, but you can see about half of the pension scheme does not increase with inflation. So some of you might think, well, on first look, you're going to take the higher income option, aren't you? Why would you give up some of that income? You just go for the higher level. Well, let's see what happens over time by not receiving that inflation increase on around half the pension. As you can see here, at the end of 10 years, there's a small difference. If we use the average inflation rate of 5.1% a year for the UK over the last 60 years, you can see that at the end of 10 years, there's a small difference in the two payments. But by the end of year 20, you can see that that gap has grown significantly, and you'd be far better off taking the standard option and making sure that your whole pension income increases with inflation. And again, by the end of 30 years, the gap is really quite significant. So do watch out for this pension increase exchange. It will be there as one of the options, and if you're not aware of what it is, you're probably just going to pick the highest level of income. Now there might be genuine reasons when you may wish to take the pension increase options, particularly if you've got a shortened life expectancy. If you're in poor health, you might find that actually taking the higher level of income initially, if your survival rate is just a few years, then that will probably be a better option for you. But do look at your own individual circumstances and read the detail around these quotes, and if so, speak to a financial advisor who can do some forward planning and show you some projections of the different options. Remember, you don't know what you don't know, so it's best to be in an informed position. So the second dark arts that you need to be aware of with defined benefit pensions is something called the state pension reduction. Now there are schemes out there that still operate this. Sometimes they call it clawback. So basically when you are part of a defined benefit pension scheme, there will be what's called a normal retirement age attached to the scheme. And this is usually either 60 or 65, and this is the point at which the scheme believes you're going to retire. Now you don't need to retire at that point, but you could take your pension benefits at that point without any penalties. Now, particularly for defined benefit schemes that have an earlier retirement age, let's think 60 now, they will begin to pay you your pension income at age 60. And then when you reach state pension age, which for most people now is going to be around age 67, the pension scheme does what's called a clawback and reduces your annual pension income then for the rest of your life. So it's almost like you're paid a higher level of income for those initial years before you reach state pension age, and then once the state pension kicks in, your scheme reduces the income that you're previously entitled to. So again, be very careful if that's an option on your scheme, or even for some it might not even be an option, it might be the standard, and you just need to factor that into your ongoing planning. Again, here's another live example of Anne here that took her defined benefit pension at age 60, was receiving around £5,000 per year, and little did she realise, she just didn't know that it was in the small print, this state pension clawback, and when she reached state pension age, her pension income reduced by about £1,000 a year, and it caused her real trouble. This was in the news quite recently. So what can you do with all these funny things that go on with defined benefit pensions? Do you just have to accept them? Well, there is another way. Now, for the majority of people, it is right to stick with your defined benefit pension and just pick the option that is right for you. But for others, it might be the case that you should look at transferring to an alternative pension. Again, there will be lots of different reasons to why you might do this. It all depends on your own individual circumstances, but there is another way. So if you have a defined benefit pension scheme that's in the private sector, you can request what's called a cash equivalent transfer value. The scheme will work out a value, and if that value is appropriate, and you have to seek financial advice if the benefits are guaranteed on more than 30,000, you have to speak to a financial advisor, but if they recommend a transfer is appropriate, then you could transfer your defined benefit into a personal pension where you control your money. You control the levels of withdrawal you want to make, you control the investment, but of course then it's not guaranteed. So you do have to weigh up those differences, and it's essential really that you take financial advice on that. But it's just to point out that there is another way, rather than having to deal with these dark arts that sometimes occur with defined benefit pensions. I hope you found this video useful. We do actually have many other guides, articles and things on our website, rtsfinancialplanning.co.uk. When you hit the home screen, if you scroll down about halfway, there is also our 10-minute retirement plan guide, which many people have found useful just to get them started on that retirement planning journey. If you do find this video useful, we obviously have other videos as well. If you hit like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll get notifications when the new videos are released. And if you've got any feedback, please leave them in the comments.